Phone's on me.
There's my audience. Hi, my name's Remington Caley. Today I will be telling you about cattle identification. Today in the livestock industry there are many different types of cattle ID. Anything from temporary branding to permanent branding. This is done because cattle do get out or the ranchers do misplace them. No matter where you are in the world, someone will try to steal cattle and you have to have forms of ID. This evidence has proved itself through the test of time. So today I will cover many different forms of ID, such as hot iron branding, freeze branding, ear tag branding, different types of tattoos, and collars for the cattle. The oldest permanent ID was first recorded in 1519 by Herman Cortez, according to the USDA, and this has been practiced in other countries for hundreds of years. The process of hot iron branding is first you have a copper brand with your specific design and logo on there. And this is usually made of copper. Then the brand is heated by either fire or electricity. And this is then pressed onto the cattle, burning their hair off permanently, sealing your stamp. While branding, you must keep your cattle still. There's two techniques to this. There's one, the squeeze chute, which this is the easiest, especially when you're dealing with lots of cattle. You will bring the cattle into the chute and press them, and then you will be able to brand them. And then there's the traditional way, which is roping cattle off horse. You have a header and a heeler, and then you also have a brander. So one person will head, one person will heel, and the other person will be there with the brand. And this is another form. Disadvantages of hot iron branding is like the people's misconception of it, that it actually hurts the cattle, but in actuality it does not harm the cattle whatsoever. And this is the most important thing for agriculturists, it's just to educate the people so they understand that this is not harmful to the cattle at all. Then there's freeze branding. This is a relatively new form of branding. It's slowly becoming more popular in the world. One reason it isn't is typically more expensive. It was first created by Dr. Keith Farrell out of Washington University. And the process, there's branding irons very similar to hot iron brands, but instead of heating it, you will chill the brand. And this can be done in multiple ways. The most effective way is using liquid nitrogen, or you can also use dry ice and alcohol. Now this form is much cheaper, but it tends to be a lot less inefficient according to the Handbook of Livestock Management. The way that's branding is the cold iron will kill the skin pigments in the cattle, and this over time will turn their hair white. So instead of not having hair like in the hot iron form, they'll grow hair, but their pigments, they can't grow colored hair, so it'll just be white. And this will show your brand, your logo. There are more disadvantages with freeze branding. One is it can take up to 4 months for the cattle's hair to grow back, and that's just 4 months you have of not really any form of ID. And is a very slow process to chill the iron. When you first start branding, it takes 15 to 20 minutes to get the iron to the temperature that's desired, between negative 160 degrees and negative 180. And then in between each brand, it takes 2 to 4 minutes to re-chill the iron, according to the Sky Ranch. And then there is the other form of identification is ear tags. This is the most popular form of identification in the world. It works, you place a rubber ear tag on the ear of the cattle with your name, lot numbers, the number of the cattle, because you'll number each cattle separately. This form has been used since the early 1900s, so it is not as new as the freeze branding, but it is relatively new. There are different types of ear tags. There's the metal type, which is not really used that much, and it's slowly turning into the RFID tags, which stands for the radio frequency identification device. And it's very similar to, I don't know, people who don't understand cattle, it's very similar to the tracking device that they put into dogs these days. You can locate them. So it's done by small electronic device is inserted into the ear, and then you set this up to a website, and you can monitor the system using satellites. And this is very effective when you're more ranch style, not feedlot style, because you will be able to locate all your cattle throughout the many acres that they will be on. And you use internet or GPS to locate them, and that's according to the cattle ID ear tags source. And then there's another type of ear tag, which is an insecticide ear tag. This is very, very common. This is also very helpful. It is a plastic laced ear tag which is laced with insecticide. This is important because this will keep flies and other harmful insects from infecting the cow. There's one disadvantage to this compared to the other ones, is that you must replace the ear tags annually in order for the insecticide to be effective. Another form of identification is tattoos. This is done by tattooing the cattle's ear in a unique design. This is done at one cattle's ear, and this is very time consuming. And a disadvantage of this is it can be covered up. So it's not very common. Ear tags are much more common. And some cattle have very furry ears, and it's very difficult to get the tattoo to stay permanent. So, not a lot of people use this technique, but it is a form. And then another form of cattle identification is cattle collars. This is very popular in the dairy products, in the dairy section of cattle. It is done with a belt almost. It is tightly woven with fibers, or it can be done with leather, and it is very similar to just a dog collar, just much larger, according to the Journal of Archaeology Science. It goes around the cattle's neck, and then it's clasped around and it's lock-sealed. You will put numbers on each belt so you can identify each cattle, and that is very important. And what is very nice about this is you can put it on and off different cattle as easy as just undoing it. So all in all, there are many different forms of cattle identification. Some are easier than others, some are more popular than others, but to sum it all up, every cattle needs to be ID'd in order for a rancher to not lose his investment. Thank you.